What if the ending you feared the most was actually the ending that completed the entire story? After years of love, war, heartbreak, and impossible journeys through time, Outlander. Season 8 delivers a finale filled with answers that fans have been waiting for, but those answers come with a devastating price. The fate of Jamie Fraser, the true limit of Claire's power, and the mystery of the ghost that started everything are finally revealed. But the shocking truth is not just about who lives or who dies. It is about a love so powerful that it challenges history itself. Because in the final moments of Outlander, Jamie and Claire discover something that changes everything. Some bonds are not controlled by time, fate, or even death. And once you understand what the ending really means, you will see the entire journey of Jamie and Claire in a completely different way. From the very beginning of Season 8, there was a feeling that something was coming, something painful, something that could not be avoided. Every conversation, every quiet moment, and every look between Jamie and Claire carried a weight that fans could feel. It was as if the story itself was warning everyone that the greatest test of their love was finally approaching. For years, one question had haunted the world of Outlander. Was Jamie Fraser truly meant to die at the Battle of King's Mountain? It was a fate that seemed written long before the moment arrived. The characters knew it, the audience knew it, and that knowledge created a feeling of fear that followed Jamie through every step of the season. But what made this storyline so powerful was not simply the possibility of losing Jamie. It was watching Jamie slowly come to terms with his own destiny. Jamie Fraser had always been a man who fought against impossible odds. He survived battles, betrayal, imprisonment, and years of separation from the woman he loved. He had faced enemies with courage and walked into danger when others would have run away. But this time, the enemy was different. This time, Jamie was not fighting another man. He was fighting fate. And that was something even Jamie Fraser could not defeat with a sword. As the battle moved closer, Jamie began preparing for a future that he might never see. These moments revealed a different side of him. The warrior was still there, but behind the strength was a husband, a father, and a man who wanted to protect the people he loved even after he was gone. Jamie did not prepare for death because he had lost hope. He prepared because he understood responsibility. He knew the people around him depended on him, and even the possibility of his own death could not stop him from trying to leave them with something meaningful. Every decision he made carried emotional importance. Every conversation felt like it could be his last. Every moment with Claire became more precious because both of them understood something they never wanted to admit. Time was running out. The relationship between Jamie and Claire had always been different from ordinary love stories. Their connection was built on something stronger than distance or circumstances. Claire came from another time. Jamie belonged to another century. Their worlds should never have crossed, yet somehow they found each other. And after everything they survived, the idea that fate could finally separate them felt impossible. But that is what made Jamie's journey so heartbreaking. The story did not make Jamie afraid of death. Instead, it showed a man who had lived a full life because he had loved deeply. Jamie had experienced moments that many people never find. He had known passion, family, loyalty, and a connection that changed the course of his entire existence. But knowing that does not make losing him easier. Because for Claire, Jamie was never just the man she loved. He was her home. The closer the battle came, the stronger the feeling became that history was moving toward a moment nobody wanted to witness. The warnings, the predictions, and the fears that had followed Jamie for so long were finally approaching reality. And then the moment arrived. The Battle of King's Mountain became the place where Jamie's destiny seemed ready to claim him. The chaos of war surrounded him, and for a brief moment, it appeared that history had been wrong. Jamie survived. After all the warnings, after all the fear, after believing that this was the moment where everything would end, Jamie Fraser was still standing. And that moment created something powerful. Hope. For the first time, it felt like maybe destiny could be changed. Maybe the future was not as fixed as everyone believed. Maybe Jamie had finally escaped the ending that had been waiting for him. But Outlander has always understood one painful truth. Hope can sometimes make loss hurt even more. Because just when Jamie believed he had survived the fate waiting for him, everything changed. A single moment turned victory into tragedy. The man who had fought through countless battles suddenly faced the one enemy he could not defeat. And when Jamie Fraser fell, the world around Claire changed forever. But what happened next was not simply a story about death, it was the beginning of the greatest mystery Outlander had ever revealed, because Jamie Fraser's story was not finished, and Claire Fraser was not ready to let him go. When Jamie Fraser falls, everything that Claire has spent her life fighting for suddenly disappears in a single moment. For years, Claire had survived impossible situations. She had crossed through time, faced wars, lost people she loved, and carried pain that would have broken many others. But nothing prepared her for seeing Jamie, the one person who had always been her constant, taken away from her. Because for Claire, Jamie was never just a husband. He was the person who connected every part of her life together. The past she entered, the future she left behind, and the countless moments she survived all became meaningful because Jamie was there. Their love had always existed beyond ordinary limits. Time itself could not keep them apart. Distance could not destroy them. Even years of separation could not erase what they had built together. But now Claire was facing the one thing that had always seemed impossible: a world without Jamie Fraser. And in that moment, something inside Claire changed. Throughout the entire journey of Outlander, Claire had always been someone who searched for answers. She believed in science, medicine, and logic. She was a healer who trusted knowledge and experience, but there were always moments when something happened that could not be explained by ordinary understanding. The stones, the visions, the connection between people separated by centuries. And now, Jamie's death. For everyone else, this was the end. But Claire had never been someone who accepted endings easily. When she reached Jamie, she was not simply seeing a wounded man. She was seeing the person who had given her strength when she had none left. The man who stood beside her when the world turned against them. The man who chose her again and again, even when choosing her meant losing everything else. And Claire made a choice that would change both of them forever. She refused to accept that Jamie was gone. Not because she did not understand death, but because she understood love. This was the moment where Claire's connection to Jamie reached a level that even she did not fully understand. It was no longer about saving someone through medicine, it was something deeper, something connected to the mysterious forces that had surrounded her entire life. For years, Outlander had shown hints that Claire was different. She was not simply a woman who traveled through time. She was someone who existed between worlds. Someone who could touch a part of history that others could never reach. But Season 8 reveals the true cost of that ability. Because miracles are never free. Every impossible thing requires a sacrifice. Claire's decision to bring Jamie back is not shown as an easy victory. It is not a simple moment where everything returns to normal. Instead, it becomes a reminder that changing fate comes with consequences. Claire is fighting against something much larger than death itself. She is fighting against what was already written. And that battle demands everything she has. As Claire stays beside Jamie, time seems to lose its meaning. The world continues moving around them, but for Claire, everything stops. The past, the future, and the present become one single moment. The only thing that matters is Jamie. This is what makes the moment so emotional. Claire is not trying to save Jamie because she cannot live without him. She is trying to save him because their story feels incomplete, because after everything they endured, she cannot believe that their journey ends here. But the deeper truth is even more powerful. Claire is not only bringing Jamie back, she is giving a part of herself away. The warning she once received begins to make sense. The power inside her was never unlimited. There was always a boundary. There was always a price waiting for the moment when she pushed beyond what was possible. And now she has reached that moment. When Jamie finally begins to return, it does not feel like a normal recovery. It feels like something impossible has happened, like the natural order of life has been changed. Jamie opens his eyes. He breathes again. But Claire is different. That is when the true cost becomes clear. The most shocking sign is not something she says. It is not a dramatic explanation. It is written on her. Her hair has turned completely white, not because of age, not because of time, but because something inside her has been used up. The woman who spent years fighting against time has finally paid time back. And this changes the meaning of Jamie's return completely. At first, it looks like a miracle, a victory, a moment where love has defeated death. But when you look closer, it becomes something much more complicated. It is a trade. Jamie has been given another chance at life, but Claire has given something of herself in exchange. And that is what makes their love story so different from any other. Their love has never been about perfect happiness. It has always been about sacrifice, about choosing each other even when the cost is painful. Jamie was willing to sacrifice his life for the people he loved. Claire was willing to sacrifice a part of herself to bring him back. Both of them made the same choice. They chose love over fear. But the question remains, what happens when love changes the very rules of life? Because Jamie's resurrection does not only answer one mystery, it creates another. If Claire could pull Jamie back from death, what else is possible? And if fate allowed Jamie to return, was this really the first time their paths had been connected across time? For years, fans wondered about one mysterious image from the very beginning of the story. A ghost standing outside Claire's window. A figure watching her silently. A mystery that remained unanswered for years. But now, everything begins to connect. Because Jamie's return is not the end of the impossible events surrounding their story. It is only the beginning of the final truth. The ghost was not a random mystery. It was a clue. A clue that suggests Jamie and Claire's connection was never limited to one lifetime, one moment, or one timeline. And the answer waiting ahead will change everything fans thought they understood about Outlander. For years, one mystery remained at the center of Outlander. It was a question that appeared before anyone understood how important it would become. Before Claire knew about the stones, before she met Jamie Fraser, and before she discovered that her life would be forever connected to another century. A ghost was standing outside her window, a silent figure watching Claire from the shadows. A man who appeared for only a brief moment, yet created one of the biggest mysteries in the entire story. Who was he? Where did he come from? And why was he watching Claire before she had even met Jamie? For years, fans created theories. Some believed the ghost was a version of Jamie from the future. Others believed it was connected to time travel itself. Some wondered if it was a sign that Jamie and Claire's story was bigger than anyone realized. But after everything that happens in Season 8, the answer finally begins to reveal itself. And the truth is far more emotional than anyone expected. The ghost was Jamie Fraser, but not the Jamie who had just returned from death. Not an older Jamie carrying the scars of war, not a broken man searching for answers. It was Jamie as he was at the beginning. Young Jamie, the man before the battles, the man before the pain, the man whose entire life would eventually become connected to Claire. And this revelation changes the meaning of the entire story. Because the ghost was never there to frighten Claire. He was never a warning. He was never a sign of something dark coming toward her. He was there because he was connected to her. He was there because, in a way that exists beyond normal understanding, Jamie had already been part of Claire's story before their story even began. This is where Outlander reveals its biggest idea. Their relationship was never simply a love story that happened because two people met at the right moment. It was something deeper, something that existed outside the normal rules of time. From the very beginning, Claire believed she accidentally traveled through the stones. She believed she was pulled into the past by chance. She believed her journey was an unexpected event that changed her life forever. But the ghost reveal suggests something different. Maybe it was never an accident. Maybe every step was leading her exactly where she needed to be. The flowers, the stones, the timing, the connection she felt with Jamie. All of it begins to look like pieces of a much larger design. And that is what makes the ending so powerful. Because Outlander is not simply saying that time travel exists, it is asking a much bigger question. Can love itself exist outside of time? Can two people remain connected even when history, distance, and death try to separate them? The answer, according to Jamie and Claire's journey, is yes. The ghost outside Claire's window becomes proof that their connection was never limited by one lifetime. Jamie was not just someone Claire met in the past. He was someone who was always connected to her. Even before they understood each other, even before they knew each other's names, even before they knew what their future would become. And that makes the opening of the entire series feel completely different. What once looked like a simple mystery now feels like the first piece of a story that had already been written. Claire did not just find Jamie, she was always moving toward him. And Jamie was always waiting for her. This creates one of the most emotional ideas in the entire finale. The story is not a straight line moving from beginning to end. It is a circle. A journey where the ending connects back to the beginning. The same love that started everything is the love that completes everything. The ghost was not watching Claire because he was trapped. He was watching because he knew. He knew their paths would cross. He knew the woman standing below would one day become the most important person in his life. And somehow, even beyond the limits of time, that connection remained. This also changes how we understand Jamie's relationship with destiny. For most of his life, Jamie believed he was fighting against fate. He spent years trying to protect the people he loved, while knowing that history often moved in ways no person could control. But the truth may be more complicated. Maybe fate was not something trying to destroy him. Maybe fate was the force that kept bringing him and Claire together. The battles, the separations, the losses, and the impossible choices were not just obstacles. They were parts of the journey that created the bond they shared. And when Jamie appears as the ghost, it becomes clear that even death does not have the final word. Because Jamie was never truly gone. Not from Claire, not from their story, not from the strange connection that tied their lives together. But this revelation also raises another question. If Jamie was always connected to Claire across time, then what does that mean for the future? If love can reach across centuries, can it also overcome every sacrifice they have made? Because while Jamie has returned, Claire is no longer the same woman who first walked through the stones. She saved him, she changed fate, but she paid a price. And now the final chapter of their story is not just about whether they can survive. It is about whether two people who have given so much to each other can finally find peace. Because after everything they have endured, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Jamie and Claire were never just fighting to stay together. They were fighting against the very idea that anything could separate them. And that is why the ghost reveal matters so much. It proves that their story was never only about time travel. It was about a connection powerful enough to exist beyond time itself. After the shocking truth about Jamie's resurrection and the ghost reveal, the entire story of Outlander begins to look different. What once seemed like separate events now feel connected. Every loss, every reunion, every impossible choice, and every sacrifice appears to have been leading toward this final understanding. Jamie Fraser and Claire Randall were never just two people who found love in an unexpected place. They were two souls who kept finding each other no matter what the world tried to do. That is the heart of the ending. Because Outlander was never only about traveling through time. The stones, the battles, and the changing of history were always part of something much deeper. They were a way of showing that some connections are stronger than the limits placed around them. From the moment Claire entered the past, everything about her life changed. She left behind a world she understood and entered one filled with danger and uncertainty. She had no reason to believe she would find a person who could understand her, protect her, and love her completely. Then she met Jamie. And suddenly, a stranger from another century became the person who made that impossible world feel like home. Their relationship was never easy. In fact, almost everything worked against them. They came from different times. They had different experiences. They faced wars, enemies, betrayal, and heartbreaking separations. Yet every time life pulled them apart, something brought them back together. That is what makes their story so powerful. Jamie and Claire did not survive because they had an easy path. They survived because they refused to give up on each other. And Season 8 takes that idea to its greatest extreme. Jamie's death should have been the final separation. History said it would happen. The world accepted it. But Claire did not. She challenged the one thing that no person was supposed to challenge. She challenged the finality of death.